and then tell them, I need you to do something. Go ahead, tell them, I need you to do something. You need to talk this morning. Go ahead, I need some encouragement, so tell them that they need to talk. So my name is Benji, one of the pastors here at Journey. It's an honor to have you here. I want to say thank you for being here to worship with us. I want to welcome those who are watching online, whether it's on social media or through our website. We're excited about this morning and the message that we're looking at, along with over in Douglas. They're hearing the same message with what we're looking at. Summertime's here. In fact, some people are probably gone this week for vacation. Some of you got plans maybe in June or July to do something with your family. And so it's a time that a couple of weeks ago we talked about. It's a time that we reflect, right? Summertime for me is always a time that I reflect and I think about where I've been, where we're going, the vision, what do I need to change, what's not working, what do I need to do differently. And it's also a time as we make preparations in our budget. Summertime's here. You know, we spend a lot of money during the summer for vacations, things like that, moving into the fall. And so the question is, how are you spending your summer? Is what we're going to look at, because the answer to that question can impact your family, it can impact you, it can impact your community, it can impact our church. How are you spending your summer is what we're going to look at. So let me ask you a question. How many of you, your personality for vacation, you say, baby, let's just pack up, let's go. We'll figure it out later on the budget, but let's go have a good time. Look, we work hard. We need to enjoy it, so let's just go. How many of you are wired that way? You say, I just want to get up and go. Some of you are, I don't know if I need to raise my hand. That's how I am, but I don't want to raise my hand on this one. That's not a good thing, I don't think, and I don't know. I don't want to, right? Some of us, man, let's just go. And then others of you, how many of you say, no, I got to have a budget. It's going to be planned out down to that. No, we're not stopping at the convenience store to get a convenient drink. You know, we're going to pack them in the cooler. Some of you are like, how many are very budget minded? Like you're like drill sergeant, budget. All right, some of you in here, you're a regiment with that, and you've got it all played out. So more realistically, it's probably 50-50. Some of us in here, we're guilty, not wanting to raise our hand. We're like, I like to just go. I don't like this budget thing. That's a negative word in my home. But it's there. And so the question is, how are you spending your summer? Because it's a good time as summer starts to talk about breathing room. Having breathing room in your finances, having breathing room in your life and in your family. And so I asked you a moment ago to talk to your neighbor and say, hey, I need you to talk. So here's what I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to talk back. And so when I ask a question, I want you to give me feedback. At the last service, they were yelling out all kind of numbers, and we had a good time with it. So we're going to do that for just a moment. Summertime's here. Many of you have got different vacation ideas of things you're going to do. So I'm going to put some up on the screen and ask you some questions. One of the places that we like to go as a family is nearby. We like to go to St. Simon's. Not very far away. Budget friendly, can be. There's not a lot to do over there commercial-wise, and so the kids aren't, hey, I want to go do this and do this. When we go over there, it's just chill mode, right? Get a bike and just tour the island, just go to the beach and just hang out, just very relaxed. So it's a place to go. So here's a picture of St. Simon's Island. The East Beach is way on down, but this is up near the village. So question, for 2 nights, gas included, to go to St. Simon's, stay 2 nights, budget your meals, so you're not like going out and spending $100 on a meal, but to budget your meals and not be consumed with buying a lot of things, but just to go over there and eat, gas to get there. How much do you think a weekend trip to St. Simon's on a budget, if you took time to go through and manage it, how much do you think it would be? Give me some numbers. 500, 600. 250, 400, I hear all kind of numbers. All right, the research, we did some research. We go over there when we get a chance occasionally. So we did some research. If you really budget it and had to go have a good time, you could approximately do it for about $475. If you watched what you're spending, and you can still have a good time, and you could be able to do that. Let me give you another one. Super Wow's coming up. Some of our kids are going on a 3 or 4 day trip over to Super Wow, our camp for our students. Some of you've got kids that are going, so you already know the number. So if they're going to go, and you're trying to budget that along with your basketball camp or a baseball camp or a golf camp or whatever it may be, you're trying to budget. So how much is Super Wow? You may know what's the number? 217, 217, 218. It's up here. It's right there at it. I think it's around $219 to go to Super Wow. So that's where that is. That's coming up. How about Wild Adventures, family of 4, 1 gold pass, 3 regular pass. You got to have the gold pass because it gets the parking in, and then you get 3 regular passes to get in for a year, season tickets for the family. What do you think it would cost? Not including gas, just to get the passes to be able to go when you can. What do you think the number would be? 450? Any others? 450? Anything else? All right, let's look at it. $399.96 for a family of 4 to be able to go to Wild Adventures. All right, how about Disney World? Yeah, good old Disney World. Two nights. 2 nights. Not in the upper end, but 2 nights to Disney. 2 days, not the Hopper Pass, just a 1-day pass to each place. The meals, and with the meals, we did the quick service dining, so not the more expensive dining, the quick service dining for 1 weekend, 2-day weekend, 2 days and 2 nights, 2-day passes. What do you think it would cost? $1,500, $2,000, $1,900. I heard somebody got close. The actual number is $1,987.15. And that's only if you avoid all the toll booths all the way down there. So if you go and add those up, you're going to pay a little bit more money. You're like, man, summer's expensive. Here's what we know. Money can't buy what? Happiness. Money cannot buy happiness, and I know what some of you are thinking, but it can buy me a boat. It can buy me a truck to pull it. It can buy me a Yeti 110. Now listen, y'all you're supposed to know that song. Come on now. Money can't what? Can't buy happiness. Money can't buy happiness. So, speaking of boat, I want to go to Lake Blackshare. I'm going to rent a boat for 8 hours for the day. What do you think it costs? $350. Now we're close. How about this? $400, but that's not including the gas for the day. So some of you, I know what you're thinking. Well, I'll just save some money and go ahead and buy the boat. And you're looking at $34,912. The only thing better than having a boat is what? Having a friend with a boat, right? I heard one person say there's 2 good days in the life of a boat. The day you buy it and the day you sell it. YMCA, day at the pool. 1 day pass just to go, not the membership, but if you don't have a membership, just a 1-day pass. Take your kids. It's what per an individual? It is $8 per person for the day. How about the park here in Tifton? Just go to the park just to hang out. How much is it? Good job. It is free. Also, I don't know if you know this, but there's a Frisbee golf course there at the park on the side of it. A little course over there that you can go play Frisbee golf. So it's free, right? Another opportunity. What about a campfire, just sitting around a campfire with the kids? How much does it cost? Just getting some wood together. It's free, right? You can go in the refrigerator and pull whatever you got out and roast it, right? Hot dogs, marshmallows, whatever it is. Just make sure it's done. But it's what? It's free. Vacation Bible School. The week all the kids were here, did a great job being able to sing. I mean, we took them we went over to the pool, right? Had the big pool party, fed them here, had a lot of volunteers. It was for the community. It was free. Church provided that opportunity. Let's not forget the awesome time we have when we come here during the summer to Journey Church to worship on the weekends. A great time. The kids love to come, and you're getting up. Somebody told me this morning their kid got up, and as they were pulling in, they were saying, "This is my favorite place." So it's a great place to be, right? And we provide it here, and it is No, it is 10%. Like, I know he didn't. No, it's free. We want people to get saved first, and discipled, and grow, and then support. Look to the person beside you and say, summertime is expensive. Summertime is expensive. Write this down. Your finances do not determine the quality of your faith or family, but they do reveal the heart of your faith and family. Your finances do not determine the quality of your faith and your family, but they do reveal the what? Heart of your faith and family. And so, in other words, how you spend your money says a lot about what you believe. It says a lot about your heart. And so the message, as we ask the question, how are you spending your summer? I'm not concerned with what you're spending, but why. Not the what, but the why. Why are you spending it in the way that you spend it? And so we're going to look at a couple of things here that Scripture says about our heart. And you can write these down. Number one is this. The Scripture says that our heart is like a tablet. Proverbs 3:3 says that your heart, my heart, is a tablet. It's a tablet that messages are written on. And so from the time that you were small and that you were a child, there have been messages that have been written on your heart. They've been seared into your heart. From your mom, your dad, your grandparents, your friends, your coaches, whoever it may be that was an influence on your life, they have written messages on your heart. And so as you get to be an adult and all throughout your life, your marriage, your family, you're living out these messages that were written on your heart. The way that you view money is beliefs that have been written on your heart from experiences, from things that you've been through. And so the question is this, we could ask some other questions because there's different messages written on our hearts in different ways in here. And I could ask the question, how many of you believe that saving money is when you put money up for a rainy day? Raise your hand. You said, that's what I think. That's what I view savings is when I put money up for a rainy day. Go ahead. If that's you, if that's what you say, raise your hand. It's okay to raise your hand on this one. Right? Some of you say, that's me. How many of you would say, hey, that I believe that savings is the difference between the actual price and the sale price. And so I'm saving $100. So it's savings here. So some of you view savings as the price you pay versus what it would normally cost. You're like, that's what's written on my heart. That's what I see is savings. Some of you believe a little more money would solve all of your problems. If I had just a little bit more money, it would solve some problems in my life. Some of you believe I'll never have enough money to go anywhere in life. And that is a message that has been written on your heart. And so you're living a life saying, I'll never be able to do I'll never be able to save for retirement. I'll never be able to save for this. I'll never be able to do this. And you live with a message written on your heart of defeat, that I'll never be able to have enough to do that. And so different people view it different ways. Some of you go on vacation. You go and you have a good time with your family. You've planned it out. And you go on social media and you put a picture up of your family at the beach or, in the mountains or wherever it may be. And then someone comments and says, well, it must be nice. Don't you want to slap them? Like, really? Or I wish I could go on vacation. I don't know when the last time I've taken off to go on any type of vacation. When someone makes a comment like that, the message on their heart is scarcity. The message on their heart is, I'll never have enough to do it, so I'm not going to do it. I'll never make time for it because I don't think I have enough to quite get there. And that's the way they view things. Some of you have the mindset of the idea of abundance. I'll always have it, so let's just spend it. Don't worry about budgeting it. I'll make more money. I'll work another 40 hours. Let's just go do something. I'll work another week. I got my health. And you have this abundance mindset that's been written on your heart, and as a result, you spend everything you make. And that's the mindset that you have. And can't you see where marriages, where if one person has this written on their heart of savings and we don't have enough, we don't need it, and then the other one's like, I'm just going to keep working, we're going to make more money, let's just enjoy it while it's here, we need to do this now. And the next thing you know, there's this going on, and there's arguments going on, and there's tension because the couple has two different views and messages that have been written on their heart about finances. And it creates tension in that relationship. So some of us think that having enough money or not having enough money has to do with your income. And that's not the case. We're going to see that in just a few minutes. It doesn't. But it has everything to do with your heart. Everything to do with where your heart is. And so we need to start changing the beliefs that are written on our heart. The way that we see things, to have a bigger vision for our family and our community and those around us and in our church, to start living out our faith in a way that is honoring, and we change the beliefs on our heart to align with God's Word. And so we look at messages that are written on our heart, because Scripture says that our heart is like a tablet with these messages that have been put there. Proverbs also says in 4:23 that our heart is like a wellspring. Picture of a wellspring is this, that everything you say and everything you do flows from where? The heart. It flows from that wellspring. Everything that we say and we do, your life gushes out of your heart. It does. And as it flows out, and as it's moving, many times in conversations, I'm not necessarily listening to just what's being said, but there's always a reason why it's being said, or why they did that. Why did they do that? Because it goes back to the heart. What's going on with the heart? What's there? It's a wellspring. Another one in Proverbs 25. It says the heart is like deep waters. Deep waters. Intimacy, it's deep, and there's something there. And why it's so important with our spouse to spend time getting into the deep waters of their heart, to know what they're thinking, to know why they think that, to understand their heart and the messages that are written there. Remember, the money you have or don't have doesn't determine the quality of your life, but it reveals your heart. Jesus put it clearly here in Matthew chapter 6 and verse 21. For where your treasure is, what? There your heart will be also. Where your treasure is where your heart will be. So you can learn a lot about someone by the way they spend. You can learn a lot about Benji and Brittany by looking at their online banking account to see how they spend. You can determine a lot about someone by the way that they budget, their accounts, their resources. And the way we spend will reveal a lot about our beliefs. It reveals a lot about our heart and what's overflowing out of that wellspring. So let's talk for just a moment about these messages. That's in the deep waters, that's in the wellspring, the biblical outline for resources as you move into the summertime. And how are you spending your summers? The question we're asking. Let's look at this. The biblical outline for this, and some of you have heard this before, we've taught on this several years ago, but these 4 points. But it's this, the order in which it works is what? Earn, give, save, spend. The model. Earn, give, save, spend. And you can write that down if you want. And some of you would say, let's not worry and just spend it. Let's spend it and we'll figure out how to pay for it in the fall. And that's how some of you are wired with the messages that are there. Others of you say, no, we've worked hard, we've saved, we've worked hard, we've given to the church, we've been obedient, we've honored God, we've saved, and we're going to go on vacation with cash, and whatever it allows is what we're going to do. And that's where you are in the messages that are there. Some of you, this is not one we want to raise our hand on and say, how many of you are going to go on vacation on credit? And some of you, no, I'm going on credit, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to do it. And then ask the question, how many of you don't have credit, but you're still going, we're going, we don't have the credit, but we're going on vacation. You know, it's the message that's written there on your heart. So the biblical outline here, earn, give, save, spend. So we write those down. Number one is we earn. Work is driven by hunger. Scripture teaches us that. Work is driven by hunger. When there's a hunger for something, you're going to work for it. When there's a hunger for whatever it may be, for a goal for retirement or a goal to purchase something, when there's a hunger, you're going to try to work extra hard because it's something you want. When you budget, there's a hunger, there's going to be work. It's driven by hunger. If you want to eat, you have to what? Work. That's when you look at your kids and say, listen to what the pastor's saying right now. You got to work. Proverbs 16:26, the appetite of laborers works for them. Their hunger drives them out. We work in order to eat. It's driven, that hunger will drive us to work. And if you want to eat today, you've got to work. You know, you ask your kids, and this is maybe something you can ask them this afternoon and say, hey, where do you go to get money? You know what the response is? We go to you. Dad. We go to Mama. We come to you and you give it to us. No, where do you go to get money? All right, come on. Where do you go to get money? Work. Teaching our kids this right now. You know, I met in the middle with Bray and helped him and Briggs. Were blessed to be able to get some golf clubs. They wanted to play golf. So we finally found the left-hand set, and it's like, okay, I'll go in with you, but you've got to pay a majority of this, and I'll help you. And so we helped him get the golf clubs. Well, now he's like, Dad, I need some golf shoes. I want golf lessons. And Briggs is like, yeah, Dad, we need golf shoes, and we need golf lessons because we don't want to take them from you. We want to take them from someone who can teach us. You know, and so I'm like, okay, well, let's, you know, we know it's going to cost money. And I'm like, man, where we are right now with our budget, you're going to have to work. And so they start coming up with the idea. Next thing you know, Braden has a big old piece of paper out, and he's writing, working for golf lessons. And then he has out beside it, drinks, $1, chips, $1. And he makes a sign, and him and Briggs are wanting to put the sign out on the backyard where we live on the golf course and start selling drinks to all the golf guys that are coming by playing golf. And so they come to me and they're like, hey, we need some drinks. And I'm like, okay. So I put some money up front. And I went to the store and I bought it. And I said, now, you know, when you earn this, you got to pay me back the money up front. And Brittany's like, it's their first day. You got to like let them have the upfront money. And I was like, no. They're going to give, they got to realize what it costs to budget, to actually make profit. I mean, I'm going through the whole thing, and Brittany's like, just let them have it. It's the first time. They just let them get a little bit of startup here. And so this is what happened yesterday morning. They got up. We'll put them, that's on the screen. They got up, and they went and sat up in the back, help us raise money for golf lessons. Cold drinks, snacks, and golf balls, $1 each. And so they did that for 2 hours. And they come in and they made $26. And they come in, they're sweating, they're hot, and they're like, the gnats are so bad out there. And like, we just made $26. I'm like, dude, you worked $26 in 2 hours. That's more than minimum wage, okay? And it's like tax-free. Like, come on. I mean, you just got $26 in your hand from selling. I mean, what in the world? You're like, okay, well, we'll keep going. And I'm like, but you got to pay me my upfront money. And actually, they made around the 26 mark after they give me my money back. So they made more than that. But they got to what? If you want to make money, if you want money, you got to work. Now, in the first service, some of them were saying, they weren't saying work. I was getting it. You know, for those of you that are retired, where do you want to go to get you the mailbox? The first of the month. I'm like, no, pre-retirement, not the mailbox. You got to go to work. So you got to earn it, right? Where do you go to get money? You got to go to work. So you work to get the paycheck in order to spend it all, right? No. What's the next one? You work to give. 2 Corinthians 9:7. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And we don't look to give under duress or, to it to be difficult and not to be out of joy, but we give out of joy, and we give out of celebrating what God's done in our life. And we give out of a joyful heart, and God looks for the joyful giver. And many of us aren't giving joyfully because we're not budgeting for it. We've got our priorities mixed up with where we're putting our resources. And so we have to guard against that and those messages that are written on our heart. And so we earn in order to give back of our tithe. And then when we move beyond that, we move to what? Save. Proverbs 21:20, in the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all he has. In other words, you put money away for emergencies. Put money away for things that may come up. One of the things I was sharing with the boys, this past month, we had several things that went on. I'm like, look, guys, both of our air conditioning units went out. We replaced both units this month. And then we had a lot of health issues with Bentley and with medical things. And I'm like, we can't go get you golf shoes. You got to help us work here. We'll help you. But things come up. Listen, air conditioners weren't meant to last 40 years. So you got to plan for it. You got to save, to put money back, to be prepared for those things when they come along, those emergencies come. And then the fourth one is what? Spend, right? Solomon, rich man, wise man, had all the resources that he wanted, and he wanted to discover the meaning of life. And so what did he do? He denied himself nothing, right? Through pleasure, through possessions, through power, and through everything, he denied himself nothing. In Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 10, verse 10 here, it says this, I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. In other words, modern day, I saw it, I clicked on it, and now I have it. Right? Some of you still believe the message that's been written on your heart that Amazon Prime saves me money. It's saving me money. Can I tell you? No, it's not. You look back maybe the last 6 months and really look at what you've bought and what even maybe temptations that come along with that of things that you've bought. And you begin to realize it's costing you money. But we click what we want. It's delivered to our house, right? We get it immediately. We don't have to deny ourselves anything. Right? Good picture of that. We move on. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all of my labor, and this was the reward for all of my toil. So he says, I enjoyed it. Listen, you should enjoy the fruit of your labor. You need to take time to enjoy it and not just put it all back. There is a part of spending and doing things with your family and enjoying, right? Eat and drink and enjoying the fruit of your labor. Verse 11, continuing, he says, yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done and when I had told to achieve, everything was what? Meaningless. Chasing after the wind, nothing was gained under the sun. Meaningless. In other words, it ended up in the yard sale. It ended up not being something I really even needed. There is a fundamental belief for many in your heart that money will solve all of your problems. And it won't. Changing what you believe will. Changing what you believe in your heart, the messages that are there, will change everything about your life. It'll change your marriage. It'll change your family. It'll change your future and the way that you see things when you change the way that you believe and go to a biblical perspective, because money is not evil. Having nice things and enjoying life in no way is evil. But the love of money, greed, envy, what does that do? It reveals what? The heart. It reveals the heart issue. And so the issue is not more income or more quality of life with that, but it's our heart. It's where we are. We change our community by changing what we believe. and how we live and how we spend our resources. And so I want you to be honest for just a moment where you are. This is not for me today. This is for you. I want you to be honest about where you are. I'm going to give you something they call the S model. People in the finance world, this is something they call here as you look through to see where you are with your resources. And I want to give that to you, and we'll look at the S model, and we'll look at the different ones. And so let me do that very quickly with the S model. Let me give them to you. Number one is this, is surviving. I want to ask you, where do you line up in the S model? One is this, surviving, meaning I require financial assistance to get by. On my own, I do not make it. I rely on someone else helping me in order to survive each month. That is considered surviving. Number two, struggling. I'm struggling to keep up with the day-to-day expenses. In other words, you're living month to month, week to week, and it always comes down to the wire, and normally you don't have enough, so you finish out the month or the week with credit just to get by. You would be considered struggling. The next one is stable. Stable means I'm fairly stable, but just making ends meet. In other words, I'm not saving anything, but I'm making it. But if anything happens and the air conditioning goes out, emergency happens with your health, and we're in trouble. But you're considered stable. The next one is this, is secure. I'm able to make ends meet, and I have a little bit left over. And some of you laugh a little bit and you're like, I'd love to have some left over. But just a little bit for your family. And then the last one is surplus. And surplus is I have more than I need for myself and my family. And that's where we are. Which one are you? Where are we at? As a body of believers here, do you find yourself, hey, I'm in a surplus, or hey, I'm struggling? Where are you at? I can look at my life and I can see all of these. From the time I moved out of my house to go to college, I can line up with all of these at some point. And sometimes work your way into a surplus where, hey, I have a little bit more, but then something happens and you work your way back into the secure, or work your way back in, hey, I'm stable now, I'm struggling. It goes back and forth. You may fluctuate up and down this line, and I'm going to put it up here. You may move, but where are you at right now with this? Where are we at? To ask ourselves that question, where are we at? And this is the mindset that many of us have with the message written on our heart about money. We look at this, and here's what we think. You know, some of you are like, man, I'd really like to get into the surplus. I'd like to know what that looks like, or I'd just like to get into the secure, or I just want to be stable, or I just want to move from surviving to struggling. And we begin to look, and here's the mindset that's written on our heart. Follow me with this. I want you to see this. We automatically, you've already done it before I've said anything. You put figures with this, right? You look at it and you say, well, probably for somebody surviving, they're probably making less than $25,000 a year. If they're struggling, they're probably making $30,000 to $50,000 a year. If they're stable or secure, they're probably making somewhere between $75,000 to $100,000 a year. And if they're a surplus, they're definitely going to be over $100,000, maybe upwards of $150,000 a year. That's where most of you've already put your mind, looking at this. If I had a little bit more money, maybe it would move me from struggling to stable, or stable to secure. And that is a lie. That is not the truth. It's not income that will move you up and down this line. It's your heart that moves you up and down this line. It's the messages that are on your heart. Researchers say this. There's a lot of research on it, and it's from a worldly perspective, not a biblical perspective, but researchers say after $75,000 a year, there's not much more happiness that comes. between 75 and 150,000. There's not a big difference in what it brings as far as materialism and happiness. You say, well, that's a big gap. They say that there's not much difference between 75 and 100. Now, I know what some of you are saying. Well, I'd like to test that theory. I just want to see if it's true or not. I want to try that for myself. But as income increases, many times giving decreases and spending what? Increases, because you raise your level of lifestyle in what you do. And there's some people, believe it or not, that make $25,000 or less through research and through surveys that feel like they're in a place of surplus or secure. And there are people who make $150,000 plus who would consider themselves struggling. Why? Some of you say, I don't understand that. Of course you do. You look at professional athletes who make millions of dollars and come to the end of their career and have what? Nothing. Because money's not the issue. It's what? The heart. It's the heart. The heart is the issue. And so we have to get a handle on the heart. A handle, because here's the thing. You can be in secure mode, but then you go out and expand and do more things to your home, or you go out and buy you a boat. You know what boat stands for? Bust out another 1,000, right? I mean, you can move from secure to all of a sudden struggling if you've not budgeted for it, if it's not saved for it. And so it's not the spending, but it's the heart and getting the heart right. And so just for a very quick moment in closing, I want to give you a couple of practical tips for you to take a look at this week and say, how do we apply this to our family? Very quickly, because I want to be sure that I get through them. Practical insight. We're headed into the summer. What are some things I need to do? One, you need to realize where you are with your money, right? You need to realize where you are, what's going on. This isn't a time for a guilt trip. This is a time for transformation. God, redeem this. Lord, use me. Use my resources. Lord, let me get in line with what I make, with where I live, in order that I can honor in that earning and giving and saving and spending and do the things that I need to do. So number one is this, very quickly. Make a list of your subscriptions. Netflix, Hulu, XM Radio, Amazon Prime, Apple Music, iCloud storage, and more. Make a list of everything you're paying for. One thing you have to do is get a hold of the finances, get a hold of the money that you're spending that you don't even see. Because this is money that goes out that you don't even see. And start canceling a few of them. Maybe cancel 2 of them, depending on how many you have. Some of you are like, I can't go without those, though. Like I got to have those for vacation, right? Amazon Prime, I got to buy a bathing suit. I got to have entertainment on the road, so I've got to have XM Radio, or I've got to have Netflix. I got to have that when I go on vacation. Isn't that what vacations become? Go to a different destination, but look at your same device? Get a hold of it. Make some cancellations. Some of you may not realize this, but some of the credit cards you get to get the discount on buying the clothes that you do around the holidays, and you may pay it off, but if you don't cancel it out, some of them charge you an annual fee that's going on there that you don't even realize it. Spending money that you don't see. Get a handle on it. Get a handle on those things. Number 2, very quickly, minimize the clicks. It's easy and convenient, right, to get what you need. Just click and knock, knock at your door. Listen, you know it's bad when you invite the UPS or FedEx guy to dinner. That's not a good thing. If you're that close, it's not healthy. You need to work on that. Some of you never had a burn pit until you got Amazon Prime. What do I do with all the boxes? I got to get rid of them. Here's what you do. Look at how many clicks you've made from January to now. Divide that in half and use that for the remainder of the year. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're looking at your spouse saying, but I buy the soap, I buy the toilet paper, I buy this, and I buy, do those clicks count? Look at them and say, yes. Yes. Yes, they count. Very quickly, next one is this. Minimize the clicks. Another one, start giving something and move towards the tithe. Start somewhere. Start giving something. Some of you have been here for many years. and we no longer consider you guest. This is your home. We love you. Pray about that, supporting the family here, supporting our church family, our body. We are together a family. And begin asking the question, why do I not trust God enough to recognize that everything I have comes from Him? And start somewhere. I understand some of you may be in a place where I can't do 10%. My budget right now. Listen, start somewhere. What happens is we'll get into the mode and we'll say, well, I'll just keep waiting, and I'll wait, and I'll wait, and once I get this done, and the student debt's done, and this done, and then, no, start somewhere. Start honoring God with where you are. Honoring God with your resources, getting in a biblical principle of earning, working, teaching our kids, right? Work, give, save for the sake of your family and your future, and spend, enjoy. And it may require cutting some things back in order to get in that level, to get where you want to be in the S model, to be good stewards, to give back, to trust God with everything. And in with that, start saving something. Emergency fund, retirement, vocation. Dave Ramsey says, hey, start with a $1,000 plan. They say that 80% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their bank on a weekly basis. Start somewhere. Start with $1,000 you don't touch and allow it to develop. Listen, you may be going on vacation in June, but kids are going to start back school in August. Prepare for it. Budget for it. Make preparations. Listen, it's not about changing your income. Stop complaining about changing my income. And start examining my heart. Start examining why. Not what I'm spending, but why am I spending it? And make plans. And enjoy your summer. With every head bowed and every eye closed.